Drug violence has re-emerged in Tijuana, Mexico's murder in the United States. Mexican authorities discovered 90,000 victims. Mexican authorities have kidnapped thousands of people. Most
Probably not saying those victims was as torture. The bodies were found in another empty lot. It's a war zone. This war zone isn't halfway around the world. It's only miles from San Diego.
Once you know life here, going back there would just be so boring to me. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, but it would just be so boring. I couldn't do it. So I was born and raised some 2,000 miles northeast of Tijuana, and that would be 3,551 kilometers. I call this city mine because here, among her people, her pockmarked streets, her anarchy, her gritty technicolor, her humble innovation, and inexhaustible persistence to grow and thrive against all odds, I feel more alive than I have anywhere else in the world. My name is Derrik Chin, and I live in Tijuana, Mexico. So this is my home, my Mexican paradise, my own private Mexico. How I came to live in Tijuana was originally for love. I was seeing someone who's from here, was spending most of my week here, and paying $1,000 rent to live in North Park. And after 6 months, I said, well, what's the point of paying $1,000 to live somewhere where I could be spending $200 to live? And I'm here every night anyway. So that was the fiscal part of it all, but there was more to it than that.
Well, the name of this piece is Algo no puedes hacer en el pinche otro lado, and is inspired by one of my favorite things when I was living in Centro is whenever there would be a Mexican national holiday or Mexico would win a soccer tournament, big soccer tournament, the people would be in the streets in their pickup trucks, and they jam the streets, pouring out of the back of the beds of these pickup trucks with these huge Mexican flags, just showing pure, innocent patriotism, just pure love of your country. And the thing is that it's illegal to do this in the United States. Freedom is diminishing, and it's not, because of terrorists or anything. It's just because there's control. It's trying to save you from yourself. That's what the United States is all about, trying to save you from yourself. And that's what Mexico isn't. If you fall in a hole, nobody to sue. You should have been watching where you're going, And and I've fallen in holes in Mexico, and I should have been looking where I was going. My name is Michael Corbett, and I live in Tijuana. Well, this is the door to Cuarto Enano. This is my home now. My studio. It's my spaceship. It's Tijuana es Sagrada, porque Tijuana is leaving. And the saying of Gandhi. I had made a decision, perhaps 11 years ago or so, in 1997, to investigate the parallel universe of Latin culture. And I was in Los Angeles at the time, and so I started there. But the closest Latin city was Tijuana.
My name is Jenny Donovan, and I live in Tijuana. This is my house. I came to Tijuana because I had been working with artists and writers in Tijuana for several years in collaborative projects before I actually moved here. I came to San Diego to do my master's in visual arts and figured that there would be a lot of dialogue between the school and Mexico just because of how close San Diego and Tijuana were on the map. Being from Philly, it looked very close. And I was astounded that there really wasn't any when I was in school. We just started making meetings with different collectives and meeting different artists and trying to find ways that it would make sense for us to work with them. And through that process, I developed a community here, and when I finally had to leave my wonderful house in San Diego with my great roommate, it just didn't really make sense to live in San Diego.
Mis gatitos nuevos, mis nietos. My name is Jodi and I live in Tijuana. This is my house. I came to live in Tijuana because several years ago I was going through a lot of emotions about wanting to live in another country, and was sort of considering moving to Southeast Asia, various other places. And then I went to a party and I met someone who said, I live in Tijuana, and I had never actually imagined that that was a possibility. For some reason I thought, you don't live in Tijuana.
This is the space where the tunnel was. Of course, it's now cemented, it's cemented up, and we covered it over. But what we plan to do is to, even though there's a workshop space, to have some kind of exhibit on this wall giving the history of the tunnel. And we have the actual ladder that they use to go down into the tunnel, and it's in a rooftop cafe. So now the ladder is reaching up to the sky to possibilities as opposed to going down into a tunnel. My name is Gerda and I live in Tijuana. This is my house. Mi casa is su casa. And it's around the corner from the center, so very convenient for us. And we're in the process of making some repairs to the house. Really nice. Yeah. I met my husband, Luis, at the Cheto Wine Festival, which takes place every year in September. And I came with some friends from LA, and he knew one of my friends, and we all ended up staying at the same ranch. Eventually he called me, I didn't remember who he was, but anyway, he called me. And then we went out and went out a couple of times and was having a great time. He invited me to come to Tijuana. And I said, no, I'm not ever coming to Tijuana. It's too much going on there.
I photographed myself sitting on each of the burrows in Revolucion, and then I'm redrawing them with myself in the burrow, and then whatever's in the picture plane of the cart, but I'm leaving out the cart in the city and just extending the theme that's in the cart out throughout the landscape of the drawing. My name is Iana and I live in Tijuana. This is my house. The first time I came here, the energy was just so amazing. It reminded me kind of like New York, but shorter. And the energy is much different than San Diego, so I was attracted to the city.
What I saved in rent the first couple of months, I ended up spending on cell phone bills until I figured out how I could get a cell signal here without having to pay international rates. So once I figured that out, everything was cool.
Okay, I'm Jason Fritz, and I live in Tijuana. So welcome to Melrose Place, Mexico. This is my home, and this is what $250 US will get you in Tijuana.
This is the kitchen. You know, this is the wine cabinet. There's only one. Great Mexican wine. Several years ago, I had heard that there was an amazing art scene happening in Tijuana and that there was a lot of things going on, and I really didn't know much more about it than that, and I came down here basically trying to find that.
They're surprised when people ask, why do you live down there? And I always go straight for the rent because that's the easiest answer.
Most people were aghast. It's like, you're going where? And why are you going to Tijuana? It's dangerous, and so on and so forth.
When I told people in San Diego that I really wanted to move down here, people thought I was crazy. San Diego's a really, really, I guess, almost knee-jerk racist reaction with about anything having to do with Tijuana.
They would call it a shithole. You know, that's the common phrase. You know, why do you want to live in that shithole?
People are surprised. They're like, wow, why? And then I'll tell them, and they'll just kind of nod their heads, and they just don't get it. They don't get what I see here and what I feel.
They ask if I feel safe. They ask if it's dangerous. They ask if I'm crazy sometimes. They, regardless of the person, usually are completely surprised that someone like me would live in Tijuana.
What kind of U.S. citizen would live in Tijuana right now?
I imagine the U.S. citizens who live there are the naturalized U.S. citizens, mostly like probably Mexicans who have U.S. citizenship.
And they have a lot of flies, and you can very hardly see a dog going down the street. They tell me they eat the dogs over there.
First of all, maybe like people who like to party.
I don't think American from here, born and raised in the States, they go live in Tijuana. Why would you do that?
I don't think any U.S. citizen would want to live there because what would be the benefit?
My name is Jacob Sapochnik, and I'm a U.S. immigration attorney working with mostly immigrants who are interested in coming to the U.S., but also American citizens who want to live abroad. The recent numbers I heard is it's anywhere between 45 to 50 something thousand citizens who actually live there. You know, some of them are mixed American Mexicans, others are 100% white. So it's a pretty significant number of Americans who actually live there.
I'm a journalist in San Diego. I work for the San Diego Union Tribune. I'm an entertainment writer. I cover music and nightlife and tourist information. So it's ironic that I don't even live in San Diego, and people like to get technical and say, how can you write about San Diego and cover San Diego and you don't even live in San Diego? But to me, these two cities are unique in the fact that they are one city that just happens to have an international border running through it. So that's what I do. I cross the border daily, and I drive to San Diego on a daily basis. I spend my days in the US and then my nights in Mexico. And I try to make a point of not crossing on the weekends. I make a point of staying here. I have a blog that I document the American experience of living in Tijuana. It's just my first and last name, derrickchin.blogspot. I try to show the city in a way that most people don't even see. That's my purpose, is to show the city through my eyes and the beauty I see. This is a Mexican kite. In Mexico, you don't fly a normal kite. They're like plastic G.I. Joe dolls tied to a parachute.
I live in this neighborhood also around the corner, and one day I was backing out of our driveway, and I saw some police, or guys that looked like they were police, with guns, and as naive as I was, I thought they were making a TV commercial. So we came out and we asked one guy, well, what's going on? He said, oh, there's nothing really happening, we're just checking out some things. And the next day on the front page of the local paper, it said, tunnel found. And they had a picture of this house, and the guy that told us nothing was going on, that his picture, and he was the head of that group of federal officers. And the building was immediately closed. And Luis kept trying to find who the owners were, and eventually he did. We got this wonderful building that needed a lot of work, And so we would pull out of our pockets, get money from friends, and eventually we were able to get some money from the Annenberg Foundation to really overhaul the building. Right now we're on the rooftop balcony of La Casa del Tunel Art Center, and we're sitting in the Cafe Ecoverde area. And it's a beautiful area surrounded by beautiful plants and a everyday view of the border, because we are literally, maybe 15, 20 feet from the actual border that we can see every day. And it's a place that gives you a kind of almost 180-degree view of the border area in terms of the states and also of Tijuana. It's funny, I'm not an artist per se, but growing up, I played clarinet, trumpet, piano, and I sang, and I made my own clothes. I wanted to be a fashion designer. But I was practical, so I became a school teacher, and I kind of left all that behind. And since I met my husband, all of that has come back to me as though it was waiting for me, so it's been an extra gift. So now I curate shows, I help to organize shows. I'm very involved with putting together different activities around arts and culture. So I believe I have the best of both worlds. I have my consulting business, which deals with issues in the workplace. And I have this, I would say, this garden of art and culture, and I can kind of pick and choose what I want to do. And it's really a good experience, a good feeling. Amigos de la Casa del Tunel. It's a t-shirt project where we get the same artists that have been in this particular show to agree to have us make t-shirts with their artwork on it. We have a whole series of those. And we also have t-shirts that shows a Google Earth image of where La Casa del Tunel is. Image that's on the t-shirt. So somebody says, where is La Casa del Tunel? How close is it to the border? They can just see it all here. Okay. Thank you. Do you have any other artists from Tijuana?
Yes, we have
I've got Galanvis upstairs, and
Kathy Canyon?
I got Kathy Canyon upstairs.
I'm an artist, and though I don't make my money off it, I'm retired. I'm living on a pension, and I lived most of my life in Los Angeles. I was born in Burbank, California, across the street from Disney Studios. So it was the day before the anniversary party for of my retirement, and I was living in the apartment above, and I was planning on painting the walls, but I thought, well, I'll paint something kind of festive on the walls just for the party, and then I'll paint over it. Not really thinking it out, I just painted Tijuana es sagrada porque Tijuana es libre. And I started looking at it, and I started thinking about it, and I started seeing what an important thing that is. And I don't think my brain came up with that. I think that was a message from the non-local intelligence. It's something that flowed through me onto that wall. That's, freedom, the liberty here is what the true value is, and I want the people of Tijuana to understand that that's what is the value of their city. I didn't know what to do with it, really, and then I didn't know exactly what its significance was, but I started learning what its significance was. I decided to make the bumper stickers, and it was kind of hard to get somebody to do them in Tijuana, but I eventually got some bumper stickers made, and I eventually made 8,000 of them, and I handed them out by hand. I walked into a lot of different colonias in Tijuana, and we were handing them out, and not everybody agreed with them, but a lot of people did right off. I mean, they caught it like right off hand. The understanding of it, they understood what it meant right off the bat.
I'm an artist, yeah, and a teacher. I work at University of San Diego. I've been lucky enough to teach on and off. I'm mainly doing my own work in this house and doing some artist talks here and there. I typically wake up early and maybe start cleaning the house a little bit, watering the plants, washing some clothes by hand. There's always like some type of work going on that I'm spending a typical work day on. So maybe about 8 or 9 hours on average of my own work, either drawing or sculpting or something like that. And then when I have a deadline, I work sometimes 16 hours, sometimes overnight. So it just depends on what kinds of things I've got going on.
Best pastor tacos in Tijuana. I ended up applying to graduate school at San Diego State, and I thought maybe in the back of my head it was possible to live here, but I wasn't sure how feasible it was. And as soon as I got here, I ended up spending every weekend in Tijuana, and I realized that it was feasible to go to school in San Diego and commute from Tijuana. During school, I cross 3 days a week. My commute is a 5-minute bus ride to the border, 10 minutes to walk across, and then I take the trolley up to San Diego State. So that's a normal week. This week has been really, really nice. It's been the first week that I haven't had to cross. So this week I've just been waking up, going to get coffee, reading the newspaper. Yeah, it's been very, very relaxing.
I don't have typical days, I guess. I'm a freelance translator, exhibitions coordinator. We have an independent press, and I teach. So my calendar really changes based on the semester, how my classes are. I try and have, most of my classes on 2 days or 3 days, although I've had to cross every day sometimes. And so it really varies project to project what my days are like.
Another reason that I moved down here was actually that was the year that George W. Bush got reelected. And there was this huge, I'm going to move out of the country. People were going to move to Canada. People were going to move here and there. I actually was one of the people who left and moved down here. I currently work at the Media Arts Center San Diego teaching video production to teenagers. I'm also a supervisor at Tucson Academy, which is a homeless shelter for teenagers in downtown San Diego. And I'm attending San Diego State University, getting a master's in business administration.
I mean, Americans have been living in Tijuana, Mexico for years. I mean, and the main reason why they've done it is financial, of course. It was always economical.
So this is home. Welcome to home. Casa Tijuana. It's 360 for 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. I'm losing my Spanish. Mexican architecture I love it because it's functional, it's utilitarian. Used to have a pretty, you can see the border from here. Not some clean bedroom. This was for his studio. As you can tell by the paint on the wall. That's gross. Stuff I need to clean out.
Turn the other way, Let's look this way. Come on, this way, turn this look. Yes, I love you too. Yes, no licking. So this is our office, and this is where we do our work. This is La Cocina, our kitchen. And all the artwork you see is Luis's artwork. This is in Chinatown. So this is where we kind of hang out. And all of the artwork is Luis's again. And we like videos and CDs. So we have our own little collection, if you will. We just had the skylight replaced because we could barely see, but now it's just great. It's just great. This was a gift. He gave me that photo, that painting, and then
This is the midget room, Cuarto Enano. If you notice, the sink's kind of low, and the reason why that is I sit when I wash the dishes or cook, so I don't have to be hunched over. But this is like my vision of Tijuana. It's a return to an environment of color. I receive energy from this. I lived above it for a whole year and didn't even know it was even here. But it was a really ugly place, a really ugly room. And but I saw the potential and I transformed it. And it's only $100 a month. Right? Steven Spielberg and I live on the ocean.
Well, I knew that I wanted to live in La Cacho, and so my friend and I just drove around the streets, and we found this place, and I fell in love with it. I thought it was absolutely beautiful. It looked like something straight out of Guanajuato, and I said, I wish that place was for rent. There was no sign, and she asked somebody on the street, and it turned out to be the landlord, and he said that there was a place for rent. My IKEA coffee maker with coffee from a friend brought from Guadalajara, and what else? This is the bedroom, which isn't really. I've been sleeping on an air mattress until I can buy my IKEA mattress. I bought an IKEA bed. I don't have the mattress yet, so I've been living on an air mattress. This is the fridge that I. It's like cribs, only with not expensive champagne in it. Restroom. I hate the tile, but it's big, spacious, so it works. I pay in dollars. The landlord requested to get paid in dollars. I think that seems to be the currency that people prefer because it doesn't fluctuate.
So we're in La Cacho, and that's very close to the center of Tijuana. Recently moved, so please disregard the sparseness and the mess. This is my living room and kitchen. There's a garden in the back, which I'm still working on. I usually have a vegetable garden, but now it's in pots. So there's 3 bedrooms upstairs. I would love to show them to you, but we're in the process of moving in. And up here, there's a little open space that we're using as a library. I pay 5,500 pesos, which depending on the exchange rate is between 400 and 450.
Harana, this is the Harana. This is the bedroom, California king size bed. This is my living room and my dining room, and where I do a lot of the work and homework that I have. I pay $300 a month for rent.
electricity's not in my name, it's in my landlord's name. So the other thing is I found this house through friends who are good friends with the landlord, and she likes me. This is one of the clean rooms that doesn't really get used for art making. It's gonna be like a yoga room or office. This is the bathroom. This is the bedroom. And this is my main studio. It's dirty right now, but it's usually completely empty. So the floor is one big drawing table. This is my storage area. So I keep all my drawings in here wrapped, double wrapped with plastic just in case there are any drips. There's our kitchen. It's pretty nice size. $400 a month, which is impossible. In San Diego, it's impossible.
My family, they know me the best. It's not surprising to them that I live here. They're, it's Derrik, just being adventurous Derrik.
My family, people on the East Coast think I'm nuts. They're scared. They've emailed me a couple of times and asked me to move back. And
yeah, I mean, my brother was a little concerned. Because he had visited Tijuana and La Revolucion and kind of been that tourist. I don't know how many days he was here drunk, but...
The family was concerned. Nobody's come to visit me. Yeah, nobody wants to visit me. But I primarily write that off to the effect of the information war against Tijuana.
Last week, a year ago, Tijuana's police chief said he turned back the tide of drug cartel violence in Mexico.
Security tests. So, is the Mexican police force up to the job of combating this violence?
He's been shot in the face.
Things about life in Tijuana that are really, that really affect my life. A water main will break at least once or twice a month, and I won't have water for a couple days. So showering is an issue. The house next door to me is abandoned, or it's not abandoned, no one lives there. And so these really mean street cats have kind of taken it over, and they have a lot of sex. Loud sex in the middle of the night. The potholes have destroyed my tires, which are less than a year old. And everything smells like carne asada. But those are the things that affect my life, not shootouts and not drugs. And
I think a lot of people are just terrified of Tijuana. I think a lot of people get this horrible image that Tijuana is this place where you're gonna get shot, you're gonna get mugged, your car's gonna get stolen, someone's gonna kidnap you. My family is from Vermont. Even in Vermont, they get a ton of news about Tijuana. For some reason, they'll call me and say, hey, we heard that these kids got shot in Tijuana somewhere. And that's all they know. That's all they ever see. No one ever sees the real cultural, real interesting, real exciting part of Tijuana. Really, it's people living in a city. People are fascinating. People create culture. They create art. They create a vibrant community. People don't necessarily see that unless they go out there and find it. And most people aren't going to go find it because they're scared of it.
Well, it's obvious that the violence didn't affect my decision to live here because here I am. I've lived in Baltimore, I've lived in St. Louis, both of which have higher murder rates than Tijuana. So I think that although there is problems in this city, it's on par with other urban communities in the United States.
The violence that's happening in terms of the narco trafficking is very present, but it's really hard to like, in my mind, to discern it from violence that you find in other cities. If you can live here, live here. But if you can't, you can't. It's not for everybody. But
I would definitely recommend it to anyone because it is a change. You know, you do have to adapt, and the city changes you.
If somebody's afraid to come to Tijuana, they shouldn't come to Tijuana because those negative attractive fields, you know, of fear will cause things to happen, bad things to happen. But if you have no fear, you know, or you want to overcome your fear, you know, I think you'll find Tijuana actually a far more relaxed place.
If they feel this is a place that they would be comfortable in, if they believe that they can make, you know, kind of that shift or change, because living here is different than living in the States, and that's one of the reasons I like it. And I talk about Tijuana being a place where there's consistent inconsistency.
There are situations with police that aren't your typical standard situations that you're used to getting into in the United States. There's situations with neighbors and noise and animal life and basically just a lot of chaos sometimes that we're not used to in the United States.
San Diego never felt like comfortable, and I don't really know why that is because I didn't really have any connection with Mexico before I came here. And Tijuana is not like any other city in Mexico, so I can't really say it's Mexico.
There's so many things to love about this place: the spirit, some of the chaos, the color, the beauty, the people. Of course, the food, that goes without saying. You hear music everywhere. People are out on the streets. It's much more cosmopolitan than San Diego. I'm trying to think what else.
Well, yeah, I love the city, absolutely. I love the people. The people are amazing for the most part. I mean, it's like anywhere else, you have good people and bad people, but I tend to run into good people the majority of the time. People are polite, they're patient with my language inhibitions, and I feel welcome. I've never felt unwelcome here.
I love Tijuana a lot because it's, for us and for me in particular, it's kind of a community that I've been introduced to, a community of most people involved in art and culture.
It's not just me. There's people who I've talked to who just coming through the turnstile into Mexico, they feel the lifting of the oppression that's in the United States. Understand that Tijuana was built on the money of Americans fleeing American oppression during the Prohibition, and that's what the city was built on. American dollars of people who were seeking freedom.
I've really appreciated being able to come home to a place that is so unique and so politicized in a lot of ways and so artistic. There's just a lot of amazing things about Tijuana.
I love its restlessness and its color, its texture. The people are humble in a way that Americans aren't, for the most part, and I really appreciate that. There's this very evident idea that's in the air of living happily with what you have and being content with what you have and making the best of it. So I don't know, does that make sense? My name is Derrik Chen and I live in Tijuana.
My name is Michael Corbin and I live in Tijuana.
My name is Jodi and I live in Tijuana.
My name is Jodi and I live in Tijuana.
My name is Gerda and I live in Tijuana.
My name is Iana and I live in Tijuana.
Jason Fritz and I live in Tijuana.